What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nash, and in this video I'm going to be talking about how to study for your MBA classes while working full-time. Now, before I get into some of the things that I've learned as I am going through my MBA program, I want to give a disclaimer if you haven't watched my videos before. Now, I am doing an online MBA program which is accelerated. So that means I have 7-week semesters. They call them terms. So what I've been doing is I have been taking one class per term or semester, right? Within the 7 weeks, I'll take one class, and then the next 7 weeks, I'll take another class instead of taking multiple classes. Why? Because I work full time. Sometimes I'm working 8 hours, sometimes 9, sometimes 11, sometimes 12, depending on how busy work is, you kind of like have to put in the time. So I have to work my school schedule around my work schedule because work is the most important, right? So that's just a disclaimer. You can relate that to your own situation, but I want to share some of the things that I've learned, as I'm studying through, I'm going through these classes, right? So the first thing is going to be customizing your study strategy per class. Now, for me, it's obviously easy because I'm taking one class at a time. But if you're taking multiple classes, this may even help you better. So essentially, what I learned is not all classes are the same, or not all MBA classes are the same, right? Or professors as well, right? So what I mean by this is, some professors require you to memorize things, and some want you to understand the concept. This reminds me of when I took my accounting class and I was expecting to read the entire textbook, but I realized, hey, to pass the exams, I need to memorize the formulas. So that is what I focused on, right? So instead of trying to, obviously every class is going to have a textbook, and then they'll say, hey, this week or for this exam, we're studying chapters 1 through 4. Instead of reading a textbook, I realized that, hey, to pass the class, I need to actually memorize the formulas. And I can compare this to when I took my economics class, right? This class was more conceptual, even though there were formulas within, if you're talking about supply and demand curves and things like that, there were formulas related to that. But when it came to testing, the professor wanted us to understand the concept. So if I was taking these two classes, for my accounting class, I would focus on memorizing the equations that I'm going to be tested on. And for this economics class, I would focus on understanding the bigger picture, the concept. My next point is going to be my most controversial point. Most people don't agree with it, but I would say listen before you judge, okay? You have to prioritize passing over perfection. You have to pass the classes to get the MBA. You can understand a class or a subject or a topic, but if you're not able to pass the exam, you're not going to get the MBA. A good example is if you try to read an accounting textbook. What's important really isn't the text, it's the formula and how to apply it and how to work it, right? What everything means in the formula. But they usually have a lot of fluff, even in economics as well, right? There's usually a main point within a paragraph, within like a page. There's one little main point. That's what you're looking for if you want to understand the concept. Now, what I used to do is I would skim through the readings and try to find, what I think is important and write it down. That takes a little while until recently where we have AI. This is what I've been doing. You take a chapter, you paste it in chat GPT, and you ask it to give you the main points of what the chapter is trying to explain. And you're going to see that the main point is usually a paragraph. So you can go back and actually read the chapter, and you're going to realize that it's going to be easier for you to process the information that you're reading because you already get the main point because you read the AI summary of that chapter. So you kind of like understand what they're trying to say. Now, if you have a professor that is nice enough to give you a study guide or even tell you what's going to be on the exam in terms of, hey, you need to focus on this, just focus on that, right? If you get a study guide, study the study guide, right? Make sure that you understand everything on the study guide because that's what it's going to take for you to pass. So it doesn't make sense to go ahead and read things that aren't going to be on the exam. So that's only if you're lucky enough to have a professor that provides you with a study guide or even tells you what's going to be on the exam. My third and last point is that you have to learn these concepts later if necessary, right? So if you went through the second part, which is pretty much pass the exam, that's how you get your MBA. The last part is you actually have to learn these concepts, right? So if you're just studying to pass the exam, you pass the exam, cool. Now you actually have time. You're not on a time crunch to actually try to understand the concept. You can go back to your syllabus and see, hey, during week 4, we're learning about production costs. I didn't really get understand this because I was trying to pass the exam, but now I can go ahead and look it up. It gives you a template of the important topics within each class, right, or each course. Now, just to recap, the first thing is going to be to customize studying for each class, right? You're lucky enough if you're taking one class at a time because it's a lot easier. You don't have to customize 2 different classes. Now, the next thing is going to be focus on passing. You have to pass. That's how you get the degree. You have to pass the exams, right? And once you pass the exams, you can go back and actually learn those concepts that you didn't fully understand. That is pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I know this is not your typical study advice. This is something that actually works, something that I actually do. So I thought it might actually help someone who is tired of the generic how to study advice. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.